Hey everyone, this is Prabhuram. Today I'm going to talk about a search strategy for innovation, which is a user led innovation process. The reason I'm choosing this topic is because I've had the opportunity to manage a user led innovation team extensively at my work. A user can become a key part of the innovation process. The more closer you get to the user, the more successful your innovation can be. User led innovation involves a community of passionate users that creates and uses innovative solutions and feel the need to build it for everyone. Open source software is a variant of user led innovation. It involves a community of software programmers collaborating from across the world and bringing in their passion for software development. This piece of software is free to be used by any person in their software development efforts. Why do people contribute to open source software? Simple. They just want to make the world a better place. They use the software on their work or on their personal project every day. This software is of immense value to them and they want to contribute back. How does innovation happen in open source contribution? Who manages all these new ideas for the software? Who gets to decide if this new feature is needed or not? And how do they develop and integrate this new feature into the existing software? All of this is managed by a team that is sponsored by the community or that is a part of a bigger organization. This is a team comprised of experts who know in and out of the software. The team usually contains software engineers, product managers, and quality assurance engineers who collaborate with the community folks and make incremental innovations to the software. The team uses source control tools like GitHub to keep track of the code and either GitHub or other idea management tools to manage and collaborate on the new ideas and features. The product manager is responsible for managing releases and the new features that go out on a release. Any bugs that come out of the software are again logged and worked on by the community. Why do people use open source software? It gives them more control because the code base is transparent and the users can customize it to their needs. The open source software is usually more secure because the community often identifies and fixes serious security bugs the authors missed. Also, the new features are released quite fast. Generally, an open source software is free to use. The users does not need to pay for its usage. Nevertheless, the quality is not compromised. Especially for businesses with a tight budget, using open source software can lead to a significant amount of cost savings. An open source software offers convenient license schemes. Regardless of the location, the software could be used anywhere by anyone in the world. Thus, the users do not need to worry about monitoring and tracking. Moreover, it does not pose any restrictions on the number of times it can be installed. Companies that release open source software usually follows hybrid licensing. They have a community edition which is open to the public and they have an enterprise edition which is not open to the public and needs to be paid for. The community edition may just support some basic use cases, but for some customized and high enterprise level use cases, the customers need to be moved to the enterprise edition. In software, discovering and fixing bugs can be costly. This can be made more efficient and faster when a set of bugs are open to the community of users. Each user may have expertise in a particular domain, and that each may have the information needed to identify and fix these bugs. Highest level of coding standards are expected because the code base is transparent and it has to make sense to all the users around the world. So new contributions are often pushed through several rounds of reviews, which consumes a lot of time and effort. Since the contributors work on their own time, it becomes tough to collaborate with a user who holds very less accountability on the feature they are supposed to deliver. How does open source software make money? The companies owning open source software usually have hybrid licensing, meaning some parts of the software is open and some parts are licensed. They might also charge the customers for the customer support and hosting of the software platform. The users also leverage on some funding platforms to financially support their favorite open source projects. You can fund your open source project in three different ways. You can raise money for your work through crowdfunding campaigns. You can create a revenue stream. Depending on your project, you may be able to charge for a commercial support, hosted options, or additional features. And third, you can apply for a grant funding. There are some software foundations and companies which offer grants for some open source work. Some of the popular examples of open source products include Linux, which is a Unix like operating system, Apache Cassandra, which is a distributed and decentralized database designed by Facebook to manage massive amounts of structured and unstructured data across the world, and TensorFlow, which is an open source library for numerical computation and machine learning that was created by Google. Going back to my experience, I was part of a user led experience project called as Magento, which was acquired by Adobe. Magento is an e commerce product. There are numerous sellers across the world. If any seller wants to develop an e commerce website for his store, Magento is the technology they go to. Magento offers all the basic capabilities of an e commerce store, and it is supported by more than 300,000 clients. Magento follows a hybrid licensing model. They have a community edition which supports all the basic use cases of an e commerce store, like product, catalog, checkout, etc. And they have an enterprise edition where they support all the advanced features like B2B, different payment methods, and so on. Magento has been in presence for more than a decade. They have more than 300,000 clients across the world, and there's a lot of community contributors who submit new features every day towards the betterment of Magento, which will be reviewed and QA'd by the internal team. After tremendous success with their open source project, Magento faces a real challenge at this point. The technology has been in presence for more than 10 years, and the technology stack needs to be changed. But there's a lot of community contributors who are well versed with this technology who are reluctant to change at this point. Thank you all for listening to my presentation.